In my previous video we just did take a look at every single Pokemon from Gen 2 and talked about how it could or should release in Pokemon TCG Pocket. And today we're gonna do the same thing, but with every single gym leader from Gen 2. And we're not gonna just make up stuff out of thin air, but we're gonna take a look at the cards from the physical TCG and try to translate them into Pokemon TCG Pocket. Just as the developers did, as you can see here with Professor Oak. In the physical TCG, Professor Oak draws you some cards, and guess what? In Pokemon TCG Pocket, Professor Oak draws you some cards. So it is fair to make an assumption based on the physical TCG for Pokemon TCG Pocket, and that's what we're gonna do now. First of all, we're gonna take a look at Falkner. So yeah, we're gonna start off here with a gym leader that is very hard to predict, because the cards from the physical TCG will not translate well into Pokemon TCG Pocket. So let's first of all take a look at these two cards from the physical TCG. One of those cards say choose one of your opponent's benched Pokemon and switch it with his or her active Pokemon. That is not gonna be possible, because that would completely power crab Sabrina and make her 100% irrelevant, and it is too early to do that, so that is not gonna happen. The second card here says draw 2 cards. If you have a stadium in play, draw 2 more cards. So yeah, Falkner could act as a draw engine, but I don't actually see him doing that. So what could Falkner do instead of these two things? So I predict, since he is the bird type gym leader, the flying type gym leader to be precise, so yeah, he works with birds, and we Skarmory releasing, and we have Noctowl that is releasing, and we have other birds like Pidgeotto and stuff already in the game. So my prediction for Falkner is that he will support cards that literally are birds, mainly Noctowl and Skarmory, because that is exactly what he does in the mainline games, and it would make sense for him to do this in the game as well, in the TCG as well. So yeah, it's hard to predict what exactly he's gonna do, but he's a card that will specifically support like Skarmory, Noctowl, Pidgeot, you know, birds, stuff like this. How? I cannot predict. Our second gym leader here is Bugsy, so let's take a look at her physical card first. It says choose one of your Pokemon, and for the rest of your turn you may evolve that Pokemon, even if you just played or evolved it this turn. So yeah, that is very interesting. Bugsy could help your grass type Pokemon evolve, or excuse me, I could also see Bugsy, since she's a bug type gym leader, and yeah, bug type translates to grass type in the Pokemon TCG, so keep that in mind. So since bug catching is a thing, she could actually catch grass type Pokemon out of your deck, and so that you can put them into your hand. For example, she could do that with Pokemon that are gonna release with the new expansion, such as Heracross or Ledian, for example. So if she might even help your Meganium evolve. So whatever, I think personally she will evolve, she will help out that Heracross that is gonna release and make that card even better than it is. But yeah, maybe you simply search him out of your deck, or you search him out of your deck and put him onto the bench with an energy attached to him, or whatever it might be. The point that I'm trying to get across here is that Bugsy will most likely be here to support that Heracross, would be my guess. Maybe even the entire grass type, by searching out grass type Pokemon or helping them evolve. And our third gym leader here is Whitney, and if you played Gen 2, her Miltank will still haunt your dreams to this day. But that's not the point of this video, so let's take a look at her physical card first. It says draw a card, then draw 2 cards for each other Whitney in your discard pile. And that is very interesting. So your first Whitney that you play per game would just draw you a card, okay? but the second Whitney that you play draws you then 2 cards. So you get 3 cards out of 2 Whitneys. And I think that is absolutely fantastic, because you can play both Professor's Research and Whitney. You can play both of them to, just have an additional draw engine due to Whitney that would not be too busted, right? Whitney is just Professor's Research, but a little bit worse. It could help out drawing your cards though, and that is exactly what we need in the game, so I would love this version of Whitney. But I already mentioned the Miltank, and Miltank is also gonna release with the new expansion, so they come together. And that's why my guess is that Whitney could also be either a support for the entire colorless type, I could totally see that, or support specific colorless Pokemon, like say Miltank and a few others. But yeah, the reason you would use Whitney is to support that Miltank in some way, shape or form. That would make perfect sense to me, because they go together in the mainline games as well, and they were a menace. So yeah, having Miltank be a mediocre card, but with Whitney together, that Miltank, let it go nuts, basically. So yeah, that's my idea here, and it will make total sense to me. I love both of the version that I'm talked about, so that's Whitney for you. And our 4th gym leader here is Morty. He's a poison type gym leader, so the poison type translates to the psychic type in game, keep that in mind. So yeah, he could act either as a draw engine or as a disruptor. So let's take a look at these 2 cards real quick. The first card says you can use this card only if you discard another card from your hand. So you play Morty's Conviction, and then you have to discard another card from your hand to activate his effect, which is draw a card for each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So you play Morty, you discard one, you lose 2 cards, but if your opponent now has 3 benched Pokemon, you actually go +1. And yeah, that is fantastic. I love it. We need draw engines, and that would make me happy. So there's another card, and that is very interesting. Hear me out. You can play this card only if one of your psychic type Pokemon was knocked out during your opponent's last turn. Keep that in mind. And if that happened now, you can have your opponent reveal their hand, and then you choose 2 cards and you shuffle those 2 cards back into their deck. Now that is something very, very unique. That is something that we don't have in Pocket right now at all. So yeah, I would also very, very much love this version of Morty, and I hope the developers take note and develop something like this. Have him as a additional draw engine, or as this disruption card that we just talked about I would be in love with it. And our 5th gym leader is Chuck. He's the fighting type gym leader. So the problem with him is that I checked everything, the Pokemon TCG database, yada yada. I could not find a card for him in the TCG. So yeah, we just gonna predict something that makes very much sense. So he's the fighting type gym leader, and he's gonna do something that is very, very aggressive. And what could that be? Pretty easy. Like, it could just be a better version of Giovanni. Giovanni does it so that you can deal 10 more damage for this turn, and Chuck could be a better version of that. Like, you could deal 30 more damage this turn, but only for the fighting type. Like, if it would be for the entire fighting type, that would be 20 more damage, not 30. But you could do the same and add 30 damage, but only for specific fighting type Pokemon. Like, for example, we get a new Hitmontop that could do that. He could increase the damage of Primeape, or whatever you like. Increase the damage for specific fighting type Pokemon by 30, or have him deal 20 more damage for every single fighting type Pokemon. Or that would be just Blaine, but for the fighting type, pretty much. So I would kinda prefer the 20 damage, but for every fighting type. But yeah, it's whatever. He's gonna increase the damage of fighting type Pokemon. That's the point I'm trying to across here, and that's my prediction for Chuck. And our sixth gym leader here is Price. Same as for Morty, I could not find a card for Price. That was legit. So he is the Ice type leader, which translates to the Water type in the TCG. And yeah, he's, of course, spoiler alert, he's gonna be another supporter for the Water type. We already have Misty that provides energy, so Price is gonna do something very, very different, and that is gonna be, he will act as a way to help evolve your Water type Pokemon, or you search them out, or you could even revive your Water type Pokemon. Since his Pokemon, his aces, so to speak, are Dugong and Piloswine, and Piloswine is gonna release with the new expansion as well, and we already have Dugong. Maybe we get another new Dugong even on top of that, so he could also act as specific support for these two. Like I said, have them revive and it set them up right. You can revive a Piloswine, which is an evolution, so that will be pretty powerful. And yeah, Dugong and Piloswine are both cards that are kind of on the weak side, and Price could change that. So my prediction for Price is that yeah, he will act as a supporter for the Water type that does not attach energy, but help them evolve or revive them. And maybe he will not do that, but he will specifically support Dugong, Piloswine, and maybe another Pokemon. I don't know which one that would be, but yeah, maybe those three, maybe even those two, and help Dugong and Piloswine actually be good and not just mediocre or even bad. So our 7th gym leader is Jasmine, and oh lord, hear me out. I think she is gonna be busted. So let's take a look at her physical cards first. One of those say, during your opponent's next turn, if your opponent's active Pokemon attacks, one of your Pokemon with Jasmine in its name reduce their damage by 30. So yeah, what that means, how that would translate to Pocket is that your Metal type Pokemon take 30 less damage next turn. That is a better blue, and that is a better version of the card Blue that we have, that reduces damage just by 10, and it is also perfectly made, and it synergizes with a Metal type beautifully. So I would love that version of Jasmine. What you could also do is what her second physical card says, and that is, yeah, two things and something unique to Pocket. So you search out a Metal type Pokemon from your deck and put it into your hand. Alright, nothing special there, but pretty good, but nothing special. What makes her special is that if you go first and it's your first turn, you can search out 2 Metal type Pokemon instead of just 1. And keep in mind, very important note, those could be any type of Pokemon, as long as they're Metal type, of course. But yeah, you don't have to search out an evolution or a basic. You're not limited. You can search out whatever Metal type Pokemon you want. And yeah, the fact that she adds this unique thing with, if you go first, if it's your first turn, her effect improves, is absolutely lovely, and it is exactly what a mechanic that we desperately need in Pocket, because the advantage of going second is still way too massive, and we have to get cards to keep that in check. So to do that with Jasmine for the Metal type would be lovely. So yeah, I hope one of those 2 versions of Jasmine actually makes it to Pokemon TCG Pocket. It would be perfect. And we have our champion with Claire. So she could go multiple different routes actually, but yeah, let's take a look at her physical card first. that says if your opponent's active Pokemon has a weakness, change it to Dragon type, basically. So yeah, that wouldn't be, I think that would be a little bit too weak, but nonetheless it would be interesting, and yeah, would it be worth a try? As I said, I think that would be a little bit too weak. You would need to add the damage that Dragon type deal to their weakness as well. So instead of just dealing 20 damage, if for weakness you have to make it so that you deal actually 30 damage for weakness or something like that, you know. Just this effect alone here, changing your opponent's active Pokemon's weakness to Dragon type, I think that would be a little bit too underwhelming. But yeah, Claire could also go other routes. For example, you could make it so that your Dragon type Pokemon, or like her aces, for example, are Kingdra and Dragonair. So yeah, help these specific Pokemon evolve, for example, would be killer. Because Kingdra is gonna release with this new expansion, and if Kingdra gets an EX version, and yeah, since it's a stage 2, but Claire could help Kingdra evolve faster to that stage 2, that would be absolutely ridiculous. And keep in mind also, yes, we already have a Dragonite, right? But that's not an EX version. What if they release an EX version for Dragonite and Claire helps that thing evolve faster? That would be amazing, right? Maybe it would be a little bit too busted when you think about it, but yeah, it would be very, very interesting. It would not only help out the Dragon type, because Dragonite is a dragon obviously, but yeah, Kingdra will most likely be a water type, so she would act as a support for multiple types actually. Because yeah, with Dragonite, she helps out a Dragon type Pokemon, but with Kingdra, she also helps out a water type Pokemon. That would be pretty amazing. But yeah, there's a third version of Claire that could appear, and that is, she will only support Dragon type Pokemon by searching them out, helping them evolve, setting them up, and by attaching energy to them, you know, whatever it might be. She could be purely a Dragon type supporter with by helping out the new dragons that will release with the new expansion, whatever they might be. Maybe a Kingdra, you know. But yeah, my personal prediction for Claire is that specifically she will help out that Kingdra. I'm pretty certain of that. Maybe they add something else to it, like help out. Like if you have a Dratini on your bench, search out that Dragonair and evolve that Dratini. You know, as I said, we might get a Dragonite EX card, so Claire could help him out as well. And the last card we're gonna talk about is the Professor of the region. Of course, we cannot forget the Professor, right? So yeah, that's Professor Elm, and it's pretty simple. He will either be a draw engine, like shuffle your hand into your deck and then draw 2 cards, draw 3 cards, whatever it might be, something that helps you draw cards. Or he could be a very specific search engine, like search your deck for like 2, maybe even 3, you know, the balancing department will have to take care of this one. Search up 2 or 3 Pokemon with 60 HP from your deck and put them into your hand, you know, or put them onto your bench, whatever it might be. Something that lets you search out Pokemon from your deck or draw cards. That will be what Professor Elm will be. Pretty certain of that. He always was like that, and he will be like this in Pocket as well. That's a pretty fair assumption to make. And that's about it. There we have it. That were all the gym leader from Gen 2, plus the champion and the professor. So yeah, I hope that was fun and a little bit entertaining. If you enjoy Pocket content in general, please consider leaving a follow on my channel. But until next time, take care of yourselves, have a great day, and bye bye.